EPRA walitoa their monthly release. Fuel hit, petrol and diesel especially, they hit new levels, 200s levels that tunasema tujaingia before.
Yeah.
And for Kenyans, this was a shock because there is the general mentality that goes in, bei ya mafuta ikipanda,
everything goes.
Kila kitu inapanda.
Yeah.
And in that time, if not to make it worse, then the public transport sector,
Yeah.
wakafunga. And it was so abrupt like this. Wali announce at 10, wakasema iko effective midnight. Watu wanaamka asubuhi, hakuna magari. Wengine wamechomewa magari. Why is fuel so expensive in Kenya?
Thank you, Denzel. I think all of us in Kenya really know why fuel is expensive. But the reason why we want to debate it is because we are a highly political country.
Yeah.
So every time, no matter, even if the reason is as clear as day, we want to add political undertones onto it, and that's what makes our understanding a bit complicated. Because all of us are aware that the high fuel prices are actually occasioned by the war that is not being controlled by us. This is a war that is beyond us. This is a war that was not occasioned by us. And Kenya does not make its own oil. So it is very, very obvious that oil prices were going to go up. We cannot even say that they are at the highest now, because we don't know for how long this war is going to be on. So one of the things that is even quite advantageous for Kenya is the fact that fuel prices are high and the fuel is available. Last time we had such a problem in the war and the fuel prices were high, the fuel was actually not available. So this time we are even dealing with quite a different issue altogether. That yes, there is supply, but then the price is the one that is actually high. But how do we navigate this? Because these are moments of crisis in a country. And moments of crisis in a country, it calls that we all sit down and look for a solution. But our problem is that instead of sitting down and looking for a solution, we always want to read the politics into it. So we are in a crisis, but when you are in opposition in Kenya and the high fuel price makes government look bad, you celebrate. As if now that crisis does not affect you. Now, and that is where the problem is. So someone wants to create, you want to increase your political bonga points on the basis of an international crisis. And then you'll go into comparisons of the fuel of here and other places. But the truth is, just to answer and stick to your question, is we are having high fuel prices today because of the war in Iran, between Iran, the US and all that. Those are the people who are actually affecting us today. And because of that, all our oil comes from the other side. It must cross somewhere for it to get here. And that's why the landing cost today, it has moved from about 600 to $1,100 dollars per barrel here in Kenya. So in fact, when you look at the proportionality, the percentage increase in the price of crude oil,
$1,000 a barrel.
Yeah. The percentage increase in the price of a barrel is not proportional to our percentage increase in our fuel. Meaning that we have facts, we have some things that have actually been done. We are actually not at the same percentage. And when you look even at the East African space, Denzel, yes, some argue that the oil prices and the prices in Uganda and Tanzania are lower than Kenya. But for you to make a good comparison, you must look at percentage increase. Because they have always been lower than Kenya. So what is the percentage increase in their country? And you realize that again, when you compare them, the percentage increase is actually lower in Kenya. Actually, Tanzania is almost hitting 50% increase since January.
Which Uganda, is proportional to the market.
Yeah. Increase. Uganda is also, I think, a high of a bit over 25% since January. Kenya is still very low. So when you look at the percentage increase, that is the reality. So there are actually things that have actually been done to ensure that our oil prices do not get to abnormal levels. Are they high still? They are still high. But the reality is that they are being caused by these factors. And that's why when we sit down and have a conversation, we get to understand each other and not to understand the politics in the oil.
Okay. Yeah. Just for context, on March 1st, 2026, the global oil prices stood at approximately $60 a barrel. 30 days later, March 30th, 2026, the price of that same barrel had shot to $102.
Yeah.
So that's from 60 to 102. You have a $40 increase
Yes.
on every barrel of
Yeah.
oil. So that will definitely affect a country that does not produce its own oil.
Yeah.
But then now, advice, kuna maswali ina come up again.
Eh.
Uganda, mafuta inapita hapa. Ethiopia is landlocked. Tanzania, mafuta yao pia inapita hapa. I don't think Rwanda produces oil.
That doesn't.
Our prices are still higher.
Yes.
They look like they may go higher unless someone intervenes.
Yes.
But in landlocked countries who need our port, it's not going higher than us.
The question I would ask you, Denzel, is in those countries you're mentioning, are the prices of oil getting higher in those countries or it's getting lower?
It's getting higher, for sure.
Exactly. So the modus operandi in the whole world is that oil prices are getting higher. But they get higher from where you are.
Not from...
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of these people, if your price of oil was 100 shillings, when it's 150, it has gotten higher.
Yes.
When your price of oil was 150, when it gets to 180, it has gotten higher. So we must, as I'm telling you, for us to have context, we are supposed to compare percentage increase.
Yes.
That is how we get things into context. Now, why is it that oil prices are lower in these countries that people keep mentioning, Uganda and Tanzania and the others? One, of course, it is the tax regime in Kenya. Our taxes are higher on our oil than these other countries. That's the first reason. We have about 8 taxes on our oil. And why are these taxes there? These taxes are there because to maintain ourselves in Kenya and our economy as Kenya is way higher than those other economies. Just like the president rightfully said, that in Kenya we are looking at over 20,000 kilometers of road. Okay? And we have to maintain them.
Yes.
In some of these countries, their total kilometers of road is less than the total in a county in Kenya. Some of them are doing 5,000, 4,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
So when you look at the road maintenance, what they need to maintain their roads is way lower than what Kenya needs to maintain the roads. Number 2, what we need to develop our new roads. Look at the amount of development that we are doing in Kenya.
Yeah, it's intensive.
We are now just having the bulky Rironi-Mau Summit Road. We are now having the almost 700 kilometer stretch in northeastern.
Yes.
Now, those are the bulky projects that we are doing as a country. And that's why our country looks different from the rest. That's why when you look at people coming from Uganda to Kenya, they feel like, in fact, while in Kenya we say we are going to Singapore, when Ugandans come to Kenya, they get to Singapore.
They're in the capital of Africa.
They feel like they are actually in Singapore. So it is because of some of these sacrifices that we have made on ourselves so that we move faster as a region.